Hey, good to see you. As you can see, I have someone here with me today. This is my Rhodesian Ridgeback Gunner. He's a very good boy, and I love him very much. He is. Good to see you. Good to see you today. You're looking good. I see you've washed behind your ears, taken a shower. You smell a little better than last time. So I was thinking today, as I was finishing my workout after some morning clients, I was remembering back on a dear friend of mine, back when I was an NCAA head strength coach. And he had coached both the men's and the women's soccer team at that university that we worked at for a number of years, while simultaneously working on his PhD in sports psychology. And what's interesting is he not only coached both the men's and women's soccer, but he had also done his graduate assistant work under Anson Dorrance. Now, if you don't know NCAA athletics, Anson Dorrance is one of, if not the single most successful collegiate athletic coach. He coaches still women's soccer at the University of North Carolina, and I think the standing record is, or where it stands presently is, after 31 years, he has won 21 national championships. Yeah, pretty badass. Anyway, my friend had studied under Anson Dorrance, and he had also been working on his PhD, and what he was attempting to answer was, is there a difference, and if so, what is the difference between coaching female athletes versus coaching male athletes? And he had a vested interest himself because my friend coached both for some time before he eventually peeled off and just coached the women's team. And so he had been around women's athletics as much, if not more, than men's athletics. And he understood there was an innate bias, an innate skewing in athletics in America towards males and how males think. And because so many of the coaches were males themselves and grew up in that same culture that all of us guys were raised in. And so he was trying to go deeper. Is there a difference? And if so, what is it? And how do we use that to maximize performance of female athletes? Okay? And also maximize their experience and their love of the game and their joy in playing this great sport. Where you at, Gunnar? Come here. And so for years, as he's working on his PhD, he was interviewing these top coaches in the NCAA Divisions 1, 2, and 3 who coach both a men's and a women's sport. And as he came to the end of his PhD work, he invited me to the oral defense of his thesis. And sitting around the table were the 4 or 5 different professors from that major U.S. university, and males and females in their sports psychology department. And my friend laid out what his research had been and the hurdles and the pitfalls and the successes. And eventually, in his attempt to answer the question of what's the difference between coaching female and male athletes, he says it really all boils down to this. My research reveals that generally speaking, not as an absolute rule, but generally speaking, female athletes need to feel accepted before they perform. Male athletes need to perform before they feel accepted. And I've thought about that so many times over the years. And the application for myself, back when I was a strength coach, coaching both men's and women's athletes, men's and women's sports, the athletes of both, as well as counseling the coaches. And the numerous professional and Olympian athletes I've counseled since, as well as leaders in business, academia, and people just in their relationships and marriages. And I've seen the overlay of my friend's theory onto all of those aspects, and there is a strong measure of truth. There's a strong measure of implication into all those other areas of life, not the least of which is also in the bedroom. Think about it. I've coached so many, or counseled so many couples where the bedroom mentality is the man doesn't feel like he's really loved until he's performed. In fact, that's a word we use when speaking of male sexuality, this notion of performance, performance anxiety, performance disorder. And we're all familiar with the notion, and you might call it a cliche, but this notion of a woman can't really connect sexually with someone until she feels the emotional connection. Well, that's the same thing as my friend was saying in the sports world, and that is until I feel accepted, until I feel that connection, I can't quote unquote perform. So it was really interesting, and I'm just keeping an eye on the big guy back here. So it was really interesting to be in on that thesis defense. And he was awarded his PhD. They acknowledged that all of his research was solid and that his conclusions were legit based on the research. And yes, there were both men and women professors sitting on his oral defense board. And so what I think about with the people that I work with, you know, top musicians, top athletes, politicians, academia, business. Oh yeah, you smell the treat in my pocket. What I find myself thinking about very often is how much of life are they spending? Or to you, how much of life are you spending performing, trying to win someone else's approval? Might be a boss, might be a brother, might be a sister, a parent, a friend, society. How much of your life are you wasting performing, doing shit, just trying to succeed, just trying to look good or do the right thing so that someone will love you or approve of you? How much life and energy are you wasting? Or conversely, how much life, energy, and time are you wasting waiting for someone to finally approve of you before you begin to do the shit you really want to do and perform and succeed and go after your real dreams, whether you're male or female? How much of your life are you wasting either performing, trying to get approval, or wasting life, waiting for approval before you start doing the shit you want to do? And underlying both of those, do you see it? Underlying both of those is the same fundamental question. Why the hell are you wasting so much of your life geared into getting someone else's approval? Do you see it? The person who's performing, males in sports, per my friend's theory, how much of your life you're wasting performing, trying to win love? And then females, those true of many males too, how much of your life are you wasting waiting for someone to approve of you? Maybe it's a father who never gave you love, or a mother, or society, or just a lover or a friend to say, I think you're great. How much of your life are you wasting waiting for that before you begin to do the shit you really want to do with life? In both cases, they're both predicated upon the approval of someone else. That's the problem. The problem is, quite likely, and I see it all the time in my practice, especially among the most successful people in life. Understand that. What I see is the problem of someone trying to win someone else's approval, or worse, spending their life trying to avoid disapproval. How much of your life are you wasting trying to win someone's approval? Maybe it's a dead parent. Maybe it's society. Maybe it's someone. And you'll say, oh no, it's my own self. I have to win my own approval. Bullshit. You didn't come out of the womb needing to prove yourself. Nah, we come out of the womb loving ourselves. So the need to get approval, the need to win someone's love, is a lie that's put in us somewhere between coming out of that womb and right now. And so the real masters of life, the people who have nipped that shit in the bud, whether at 24 or at 54, the people who are on top of life and finally living their own lives are the ones who are no longer trying to win someone else's approval, either by waiting for it or by performing trying to get it. That they've finally begun to love on themselves. They have let go of the belief that they'll ever get someone else's approval, or they've let go of ever wanting someone else's approval or needing someone else's approval. It's still nice to get it, don't get me wrong. But once you no longer need it, once you approve of yourself and say, I fucking like me. People fucking like me. I don't give a shit if other people like me. I like me. I like what I'm choosing for my life. I am fundamentally good. And my voice, my soul matters. See, when you do that, once your core beliefs shift from needing someone else's approval before you matter to I matter intrinsically, and I like who I am, once you make that shift, everything changes. Not just the paths you go down, but your own carriage, your own, how you walk through life changes, and what you go after in life changes. But it takes the courage to change your belief system. It takes finding that little pilot light like under your burner in your kitchen or under your water heater in your basement, that little pilot light that's burning, that believes in you, and you have to go stoke that thing to full flame, a full belief in yourself, because everything boils down to beliefs, not willpower, beliefs. And once you believe that you truly are good and that your voice and your authentic calling in life matters, everything changes. Peace, power, sense of purpose, everything changes. So I encourage you to begin to reorient yourself, to change your beliefs from needing and wanting someone else's approval to saying, I finally approve of myself, I love myself, and I'm excited to choose a path that inspires me, even knowing I might get disapproval from other people. That's what it means to live a badass life. Have a kick-ass day.